ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
It's been the year of my dreams, really. I've waited so long to try to complete that career Grand Slam and to finally get over that line.
Rory McIlroy speaking ahead of the Australian Open about Augusta. The Irishman's victory at the Masters was one of the stories of 2025. That the biggest name in golf is playing Royal Melbourne, that speaks to the sport's renaissance here. His dream year and that green jacket, it's framing this whole week. What it says about Aussie golf, the ambitions of next generation stars like Minwoo Lee, the ageing champions like Adam Scott, a somewhat lost star like Cam Smith. How can't you look at all those things through the lens of Rory and his dream year right now? We're unpacking what we see through that lens. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Ali Whittaker is a pro golfer turned excellent commentator with Channel 9 and Fox Sports. She is at Royal Melbourne ahead of the Australian Open. Ali, to see Rory McIlroy on stage in his Augusta National green jacket last night, that was cool because it kind of spoke to the biggest story in sport in 2025 and the biggest name in golf right now, the centre of the golfing universe, valuing and validating us and without wanting to be too much of a sycophant. It's kind of cool. Why do you think he has this connection to Australian golf?
I think he has a connection to the game of golf and a really authentic one. You know, he's a golfing nerd. I think he really loves the game as he plays it, but as well as, you know, everything that it can bring to the lives of anyone who kind of takes up the sport. And I think, you know, he's a golfing nerd. He loves the sandbelt. He loves studying where he's going and drinking up what is on offer at every region that he travels to. And I think the fact that he's here speaks to the fact that he's putting his money where his mouth is and literally doing his best in the biggest year of his career to try and grow the game globally, which many talk about, but not many do.
So how is it going to be received by some of the locals, though, Ali, that he just said that the course isn't even in the best in Melbourne, let alone the global standing?
I don't want the membership to take this as bad. It's probably not the best course in Melbourne, I think. You know, that's my opinion.
I love Rory for his hot takes, and he's so honest in all of his press conferences, and I think that's what makes him so endearing. He's also not scared to say that his opinion has changed, and I'll be curious if that does happen by the end of the week, purely because Royal Melbourne just has so much to offer comparatively to any course in the world, let alone the composite course. But I don't think there's a course on the Melbourne Sandbelt that changes as much day by day and condition-wise and course setup-wise than Royal Melbourne does.
It's certainly not straightforward. I think as well, it probably plays better in a southerly wind rather than a northerly wind. I think I played it today. You know, some of the shorter holes are downwind and it plays a little funky, but if you get the southerly wind and it gets back into the wind, then they play like really good.
I think there's so many, you know, I've grown up in this region that you're still reaching for the same clubs and the same strategy time and time again. You just might be in different positions on the hole. But Royal Melbourne can completely change, I'm going to say at least a handful of holes from the morning to the afternoon, let alone from day to day if they speed up the greens or firm up the greens, which we believe they're going to do from kind of Friday onwards. But there's such a nuance that's kind of similar to me to links golf, where everyone goes to links golf and they don't always get it, and they look at bunkers and they go, oh, why are those there? And then the next day you're in them, and sometimes it takes some getting to know. And I think Royal Melbourne is probably the pinnacle of that.
I've actually been thinking about reaching out to a couple of people, but then I'm like, maybe they don't want me to know. So, I played the front nine today. Hopefully I'll figure out the back nine tomorrow.
So I'll be curious if his opinion kind of evolves throughout the week. But we are spoilt for choice. The fact that, you know, you can put Royal Melbourne, Composite and Kingston Heath in the same sentence and Victoria's just across the road. It's such a golfing mecca here, and it's so good to have him here appreciating all of it and not just the site that he's looking at this week.
On Cam Smith, I can't help but looking at what's going on with him now through the lens of McIlroy, because Smith's been in the mix for a green jacket at his best, you know, finishing second and third at Augusta. I don't think anyone would begrudge the fact that he's taken significant life-changing money to go to live. This year, it hasn't been great golf-wise. Missed the cut at every major, just missed the cut at the Australian PGA. Is it correlated? Hard to say. I feel Aussie sports fans are uneasy talking about this because we love Cam Smith, but from what you're seeing of the Queenslander, does he look like a happy golfer right now? And could this be the tournament to help him turn that around?
Oh, I'd love to see Cam turn it around. I think any Aussie would, because he resonates with so many. But I think for Cam, he is tormented at the moment.
I mean, that's been the story of the year, really. I feel like I've worked hard all year and just have got nothing out of it all year. It's been frustrating.
He's actually searching for answers, and he's putting in way more work, and he's finding the battle with expectation really difficult because he is working harder than ever and seeing less results than ever.
I've kind of expected a lot more out of myself, particularly with how hard I've worked, and it's not how I've played golf for the last 10 years. So it's been difficult, but I think I just need to get back how I think and how I prepare, and that is just being cruisy.
The game of golf has a tendency to challenge every single aspect of your game, and I think his battle lies in his own expectations and his new work ethic, essentially, which is better than ever. Yeah, he's just having a very human year. I'm not sure that it has necessarily anything to do with where he's playing because, the game's still the same and his motivation is certainly there in a way that I don't think it was necessarily in the lead up to the year 2 years ago when he missed the cut, when Minwoo Lee took the title at the Aussie PGA Championship. I don't think he put the work in that year and he got really mad at himself for not doing it. This year he came in and he prepped super hard in the lead up and didn't get the results that he wanted. So, he's just searching for answers at the moment. And who knows, maybe coming down to the Melbourne Sandbelt is the place that he'll find them.
It's simplistic, but anytime anything's going wrong in your life, you wonder about the what ifs. And I do wonder whether he looks at someone like McIlroy and thinks, hey, what if I'd stayed on the PGA? Do you think at times he asks himself that question?
I think he's really happy where he is. I think he, Leash, Matt Jones, Lucas Herbert, I think of all of the players that have gone, they're probably, from the way that I've spoken to them, and I grew up playing golf with Leash since I was 13. Lucas is one of my best mates. I don't think that I've seen a team that's on Live that's happier than Ripper.
I'm the only one that can get anything out of this. The boys are just helping me.
He can get it out of it or he could lose. At this point of the season, we should probably start playing as a team. So we'll start today.
So, I think people can search for answers in that realm, but I actually just genuinely think it's just Cam in a new era of his game and he's searching for some there and he hasn't found them yet.
Minwoo Lee is the young gun every Australian fan is just loving to watch this year. The chef cooking, Dr. Chapinski. He's also a fierce competitor, though, isn't he? I mean, did you notice his palpable envy when he was on stage last night and Adam Scott and Rory McIlroy were sort of trading jokes or trading stories about their respective green jackets?
Yeah, I think it was more his humility.
I don't know why I'm here. But yes, of course. Hopefully one day.
He comes off as so flashy, but he's such a nice kid. Like, if you ever want to see the truth of Minwoo Lee, watch him around kids. If there is a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old on the ropes, he's going over to chat to them because he really connects with that part of kind of growing the game and the youth, and that's something that we desperately need.
I love seeing kids out here. There's so many kids. It's a school day, but they're all out here.
He and Adam Scott joked about, that Adam said that...
You got to be careful with Min because you go out to dinner with him and then the next minute you're on TikTok or Snapchat or something.
I got him a couple of times.
He's kind of like Adam's little brother out on tour, which is really lovely, that dynamic to see as well. But yeah, Min's got the talent. There is zero question about that. We saw it coming. He's got pedigree with his sister Minji getting to number 2 in the world as well. So, it's just a question of when and trying to control a game that is so incredibly dynamic. But yeah, I can't wait to see Min have a huge breakthrough. Obviously, he's already a PGA Tour winner this season, but there's way more ahead for him. He's so incredibly talented and a ridiculous human being as well. If you haven't watched the acceptance speech he gave for Minji Lee winning her 4th Greg Norman medal.
The Greg Norman medal again, 4th time. At this point, I should probably just ask them to engrave my name permanently on it so no one else gets their hopes up. Honestly, I'm starting to feel bad for everyone who had a great season, only to remember I exist.
Hey, on Adam Scott, I think fair to say he's on the back 9 of his career. Watching him do his media stuff this week, he looks dialed in. Do you get the sense that he just wants a real big performance in this next 4 days?
I don't know that he's in the back 9. I'm going to say he's in the first,
love this.
I don't know, first 7 holes, maybe. Whether or not what's next to come reflects the resume to here is a different thing, but I'm pretty sure he's hitting it further than he ever has. he's working just as hard. The game's really not as far away as I think people might think.
The game still feels good, and, I still kind of refocus and reset goals. That's what I'm out here to do. You're just like on this never-ending journey to get there. Rory's achieved one of the greatest things you can do in the game, winning the slam. And, he's resetting and going for it. I'm still trying to get all those childhood goals ticked off while I'm still able to play, and I still think I've got some big stuff in me.
He's only missed 3 cuts. That's the most that he's missed in about the last 4 or 5 years. And so his consistency is always there. It's a question of what's holding him back from getting to the upper echelon that he lived in for over a decade. So I think that's the question that he's asking himself. He said he was a little slow off the mark last week, so I think we'll see him be more aggressive and try and minimise early mistakes, but kind of put the foot down pretty quickly here at Royal Melbourne and try and get on the board early and build some momentum that way.
Just finally, change in event has been welcomed broadly. Last year was men's and women's event concurrently, now just the blokes. As someone who's passionate about all golf, what do you think about what we're going to get this year and just the trade-off that is inherent in that sacrifice?
I think, we've got the Women's Australian Open at Kooyonga next year, going back to Adelaide, where it had such success back when it was co-sanctioned with the LPGA. And I think for us as women, it's more about the level of golf where we can draw over for those weeks. And it was a bit of a logistical nightmare having the men and women and the All Abilities all on site. And then that made it a slightly abrasive, I think, experience for a lot of the players, even the ones that did see the big picture of being able to grow the game on a mutual stage for 1 week a year, which was really individual and something that we only did in Australia, which many people were proud of. But when you look at how big the Men's Australian Open is here this week, it has the gravitas that it used to have kind of growing up, where, I'd go to Huntingdale and we'd go watch the Aussie Masters, and I was glued to the TV for 3 weeks of every summer, and I get the feeling that that's going to happen here this week, and I think that's what we need, especially on commercial TV. I think opening the audience up again and getting it back on commercial TV is going to be huge. Not that it wasn't last year, but I do think that they've been very deliberate about the choice, and they've put their money where their mouth is in terms of the men's, and I hope that, the women's get kind of a reflective build-up as well next year, but that's kind of yet to be seen. But I'm an optimist, and fingers crossed that all comes into fruition, because like the Aussie Open for women, we had 3 world number ones winner. We had Jin Young Ko, Nelly Korda and Inbee Park in the lead up to COVID as our champions. So they love the golf course as well, but I think it kind of does come down to the slot in the schedule, being before the Asian swing, getting the LPGAs over, as well as the players from the LA team trying to build it that way. So we'll see who's coming back, and fingers crossed we get a good feel for that.
Ali Whittaker, you have set the stage beautifully. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Pleasure, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Headlines. With Usman Khawaja ruled out of the second Ashes test due to his ongoing back struggles, there's plenty of intrigue around Australia's lineup and configuration. The expectation is Josh Inglis will replace Usman but play in the middle order, and Travis Head will open. Here's Smith on Inglis as a cricketer.
Yeah, he's obviously a pretty attacking batsman. He did really well on his debut in Sri Lanka. He's been in really good form, so yeah, if he gets his opportunity, he plays fast bowling really nicely, so yeah, if he gets an opportunity, I'm sure he'll do really well for us.
But there are growing rumblings about Pat Cummins being a bolter in the bowling unit. Smith was a bit vague.
He looks pretty good to me, the way he's bowled in the nets. Obviously game's a different intensity for sure, but he's tracking really nicely, he knows his body well, and we'll wait and see. For
the latest, check the ABC Sport website for everything on an evolving story. A reminder, live ball-by-ball coverage with the best commentary team in the business is on the ABC Listen app. Sam Kerr played for the Tillies on home soil for the first time in 2 years. The Australians beat New Zealand 2-0 with goals for veterans Alana Kennedy and Hayley Raso. It's meant to be the last outing before hosting the Asian Cup in March 2026, but you assume they might get a scratchy in with someone at some stage. Ryan Pappenhausen won't return to the NRL next year, despite the delay of Rebel Rugby Comp R360. When that league delayed its launch, many assumed the former Storm star might return to the NRL, but the ex-Melbourne gun told the media today, "No, I just want a year off." I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily, produced by Poppy Penny. Thanks to Ripper GC for the extra audio used in this episode.
Discover more great ABC podcasts, live radio and exclusives on the ABC Listen app.